how online education is transforming the lives of the people.
So basically, like any education is a means through which the person becomes a different person. And I have got plenty of example of my 4 cohorts which we are running, is that many students have found new meaning of their life. Just to add, behavioral change. Because when
Correct.
you are dealing with a group of people, your colleagues and peers, you not only learn from the faculty, you also learn from your peers.
Hi, good afternoon, Professor Dubey. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good afternoon.
Great, great, amazing. So before we start today's discussion, let me set the context and the pace of the session, right? So today we'll be talking about how online education is shaping the new India. And today we have with us Professor Sanjiva Dubey, right? So before we get into the discussion, right? So I would like to know more about your journey, Professor. So if you can just shed some light over there, it will be great. How your journey has been so far.
Okay, so this just my journey has been very exciting, challenging, ups and downs.
Right.
I started in the industry. I started after doing my BTech and postgraduate diploma in management from XLRI Jamshedpur with Tata Steel. And then later on, I moved to IBM in 1994 to set up their consulting business in India. And while I was doing all this, I was also a visiting professor to various institutes, XLRI, and then when I moved to Delhi, IIM Lucknow, IIM Indore, BIMTech, where I'm currently working, IMI, Jain, Dubai, Singapore. So quite a number of institute. And so I created a profile which was a profile of a consultant, academician. And my last job in IBM was to head their Asia Pacific operations across 17 countries. Last 6 years, I am with BIMTech, heading their IT area. And last 2 years, we started a online center, of which I am the chairperson.
It's quite interesting journey so far, Professor, right? So you started off with industry, then you moved to consulting, then you transitioned into education sector, right? That's quite interesting.
And one thing which might be of interest to you is that I also have got 2 startups to my credit.
That's pretty amazing, sir. Truly, right. So, now that brings me to my very first question for you. So can you give an overview of the industry size and what are the market dynamics that come into the play when we talk about education or e-learning or edtech as an industry?
All right. So basically, we do not consider edtech as an industry. Edtech companies are enablers to the entire ecosystem of education. Primarily, it was being done through the universities and schools and colleges and autonomous institutions. But what has happened is in the last 7 to 10 years is that because technology is becoming an important part of the education delivery, the edtech companies have come in. India, as you know, it's the largest population in the age bracket of 5 to 24 years of about 500 million people. And there is a huge opportunity to reach out to the underserved sections of the society. The quality of education, which is only available in face-to-face model to a very minuscule portion of the population, can now be extended to the masses. The successes of the edtech industry, which have very fast they became unicorn, is well known. So if you talk about the market of education sector, so it was estimated to be worth US 117 billion 2 years ago, and it is likely to reach 225 billion by the financial year 25. We have a large number of school-going children, about 250 million. The number of colleges are around 40,000 plus, and universities are about 900 plus.
Correct. Correct. So that's quite an interesting figure right there, right? So, Professor, we have a lot of people to cater to, a lot of young population for whom this education becomes very, very necessary, right? For them to proceed further, is what I believe, right? So,
Yeah.
that brings me to my next question. Right. So, Professor, how mature is the Indian market as compared to the rest of the world, right? So you also might have experienced or you might have taught in several regions as well, right? So if you can shed some light, how mature is the Indian market when we compare it to the rest of the world?
Actually, I would like to answer this question in a slightly different way. India
Right.
is a young country, and we are very fast learners. And while initially, for example, the telecom revolution 20 years ago, when the telecom came in, at that time, in order to take a landline connection, one has to queue up in the government BSNL or MTNL for several months. But the telecom revolution came in, it spread so fast that it really mesmerized or stunned the rest of the world. And India became one of the largest growth sector of the telecom. And the reason of that growth was that we were not having telecom at all. There was nothing which it was going to displace. So people who had no fixed habitat, they were willing to go for mobile phone because it doesn't require an address proof or something. Something similar has happened in the education space also. While our gross enrollment ratio, and I'm referring to the higher education, is close to 27%, which the government wants to reach to 50% by 2030. India is the second largest in terms of the edtech space or edtech market, second to the US market. And people are adopting it very fast. The other region, of course, it was not a healthy, welcome region, was the onset of pandemic and the lockdown. So what happened is during the lockdown, the learning curve across the people to use online education became very fast. Even a small children of class 3 or class 4, they had to undertake the online classes because that was a necessity. And that led to such a rapid proliferation of adoption of the online learning that I would say that the Indian market has become very much matured, at least in terms of the adoption. We may not have covered everything because India is a very large country. It has got hills, it has got deserts, it has got remote places. That is a challenge which we will talk about. But in terms of the adoption, I think we are uh, uh, as much as any other developed country.
Correct. Correct. Very true, Professor. Right. So, like you mentioned, correct. Now, again, that brings me to my next question. Like, you mentioned that industry is growing rapidly, right? And there are certain key factors which are coming into the play, right? So, what are the key driving factors, if you can highlight them, which are driving the industry forward? That'll be great.
So, as you know, in any young population, the one thing is common across all of them is that they are very, very aspirational. They want to change their life. They want to earn more. They want to spend more. They want to enjoy more. And for that, they have to have a good skill set so that they become employable and they become relevant to the industry. So there are two areas which are driving this growth of edtech companies and the technology-based education, where edtech companies participate with the universities and institutions like BIMTech, and they deliver the program because they are the people who have the technology behind them. Is the We call it as TAP, okay? Transition, acceleration, and promotion. Transition means that somebody who was working in a different job or a back office job, after getting a degree, he or she might get a better job. Acceleration refers to that people who are already in the job, but because of this new skill or new degree, the career growth starts happening faster because they become a better individual. And then P is the promotion. Wherever you are, your company would recognize you that look, this person after having acquired a skill has become a better individual, and then it will lead to your promotion. So in order to summarize these two factors, I will say one is that skill area, skill development, and second is employment. India still requires a huge number of employment, but we always hear the talk about employability, that most of our graduates who come out are not employable because the education requires some newer nuances and cutting edge technology and cutting edge subjects, which the existing system is not able to provide. And that is where the online education and edtech companies are chipping in.
Correct, correct. So you rightly mentioned that, as the technology is advancing, the skill set also needs to move in line with that in order to be employable, right? Professor, what are the key challenges which are faced by people or students or industry professionals who are working in the industry in today's day?
So the challenge obviously is the if you are if you do not have a access to the right internet bandwidth, or you have got a you cannot spend money in undertaking a degree. So those are the challenge what you have. The other challenge, which is a hidden one, is that who is going to guide them? Okay, because it is not a product which you have used it before and which you can ask any peer to advise you, like a cell phone or something. It's education. Your guidance about what degree or what skill set you should acquire can only be given by someone who is experienced in this area. And for that, there are professors, teachers, faculty, and mentors who can guide them. So finding the right mentor, the right guide who can help them to select the right career path. I get this question every time whenever I have a webinar or something as to what specialization I should choose while doing my MBA. And my answer is that first you understand what you really want to do yourself. And that is a very difficult question to answer, for which they require a lot of hand-holding, a lot of grooming, and a lot of mentoring by people. In the infrastructure side, while our telecom infrastructure has improved a lot, but still there are pockets in the country, especially remote areas, the hills, where the internet bandwidth is not as good. But hopefully that will also improve in the coming years.
Correct, correct. And I believe there are a lot of initiatives. India is moving towards the path where, at least the basic necessity and just like internet and light services and so on and so forth will be available primarily, right? So that will also accelerate the growth that we are, experiencing, right? So now, what is the solution that we are offering and how online education is transforming the lives of the people, Professor, if you can highlight?
So I will limit this answer to my current responsibility of BIMTech, where I head their online MBA program. We call it PGDM because BIMTech is a autonomous institutions under AICT. We realized as a first step is to offer programs which helps people to get employment, or if they are already employed, to accelerate in their career journey. We are not focusing at this stage on the skill building programs like certificates of 3 months, 4 months, like that, which are available in plenty, and there are many edtech companies which are doing it. As a university, we partner with edtech company who help us reaching out to the students, and they provide the tech platform and help us run the program management. And there we focus more on the online PGDM, which helps after 2 years students to get a proper job. A master's degree can help them to accelerate their career. They can do PhD, or they can change their job, and so on.
How online education is transforming the lives of the people?
All right. So the second part was how it is transforming the lives. So basically, like any education is a means through which the person becomes a different person. And I have got plenty of example of my 4 cohorts which we are running, is that many students have found new meaning of their life. I have a housewife who says that after 10, 15, 10 12 years of my marriage, I was sitting at home, and then now I have started to do this program, and now I am getting newfound confidence. I have also got a job, and by looking at my skill, they are willing to give them more and more responsibility. There are people in their mid-career, there are youngsters who are supporting their parents in their small businesses. They are undertaking this program because they feel that it will arm them for future growth. And that is where this changing of the life, keeps coming back, because you are trying to impart a very different skill sets and content, and the grooming and mentoring, that the person starts rediscovering himself or herself.
Correct, correct. And you rightly mentioned that education transforms life of the people, not in one ways, but in many ways, right? So it changes them inside out, correct, primarily, right? So
Yeah,
that brings, yeah, yeah, yes, sir.
just to add, behavioral change. Because when
Correct,
you are dealing with a group of people, your colleagues and peers, you not only learn from the faculty, you also learn from your peers. You learn from other colleagues who are participating in this. So there is a whole lot of peer learning at a very, very rapid pace and a very easy manner, which is facilitated by the EdTech platform. Whenever a question is posed by a faculty, 100 people reply. Now, these 100 replies are also an input for the person who is going to reply at 101 time, so that he or she can answer this question better.
correct, correct, correct. So peer learning is something again which is very vital and very crucial, is what you're trying to emphasize, and I completely agree with you, Professor. So, what are the key initiatives which are taken by government of India, right? So, I'm sure government has taken might have taken a lot of steps. If you can highlight some of those, in your experience, Professor.
All right. As a matter of fact, the government it has taken a lot of initiative in the last 2 years. Today itself, from Lal Killa, Prime Minister has spoken about new education policy, which has taken so many inputs from so many people. So, new education policy was released in 2020 after a gap of about 20 years. And one of the significant part of this policy is to promote online education and reach out to the education to the masses using the technology. And in order to facilitate that, the universities, UGC and AICT have started self-learning portals like Swayam Prabha, National Digital Library, spoken tutorials, virtual lab, which are being implemented by various institutions. I'm a reviewer of several initiatives of AICT, of the self-learning program. These are all available almost free, and but you have to observe the timing and so on. And it helps students to catch up and then acquire credits, which can be also banked at some point in time, and then converted into certificates or diplomas at a later date. So government is very keen. Government is also talking about digital university, and all top 100 institutions have been mandated that they should do something in the online space, because that is the only way in which the gross enrollment ratio of higher education, which is currently 27%, can go up. You can't create so many buildings, you can't have so many new faculty, but in online it becomes easy. The same faculty sitting at the same place can conduct classes which can be beamed all across the country or wherever.
Correct, correct. You rightly mentioned, sir, that the technology can impart education to people where physically it might not have been possible to impart that quality learning education or quality learning or the education, right? So correct, correct. That brings me to my very last question for today, right? So, Professor, you have been in this industry since past so many years, and how has the education industry evolved over the past couple of years? And what are some of the key trends or key changes that you might have noticed in your experience?
So the industry has evolved. This industry has become more matured. It has become more inclusive. It is reaching out to a very large section of society, and also it is reaching out to the people in the hinterland of the country, tier 2, tier 3 towns where where the good institutions are not there. So that is a good sign. I have got students from smaller towns who are attending the program from Gaya and Trichur and Aurangabad and other places, because they cannot leave their city for various reasons, especially women or girls. They have issues in suddenly moving to a new city or something. So online education is a great means for them. The other change which I have noticed is that after this pandemic, the online means of interaction. As a matter of fact, this interview itself is happening in an online means. Earlier, it was not considered very practical, but today it has become very normal, and people have started to accept the hybrid model of learning, provided you are self-motivated. If you are a very young person, then perhaps young student, then perhaps the face-to-face class is a better method. But if you are a matured individual, adult, self-motivated, then online will almost equal to the face-to-face class. Plus, it has got lots of advantage of flexibility, no travel requirement, less fee, and then you can do something alongside with you. The third one is that adoption of technology. This is something which is happening very fast. Most of the universities and institutes have started to adopt technology like learning management system, the online engagement tools like Jamboard or breakout rooms, so that the people who are not in the campus can also interact and work collaboratively with each other. And also, most universities, including BIMTech, what we do is that we have moved to a model where we record a sufficient number of hours of video beforehand, so that when the student can come in the class, they can watch them in advance and then come prepared for discussion. So to summarize, three trends: one is acceptance has increased, reach has increased or extended. Third is the use of technology has become very advanced and acceptable. It will be no wonder to find after a few years that there'll be a AR and VR equipment being used in the classroom, so that it will give you a immersive experience of the faculty coming in 3 dimension. Which is something which metaverse people are talking about. Of course, it will take some time. It will require some more investment and some training. But this is the things to look up to.
Correct, Professor. So you mentioned that a whole technology bit is very crucial and is playing a pivotal role, I believe, in shaping up the youth of tomorrow and today itself, right? So that's quite interesting, and I personally got to learn a lot of things from this conversation, Professor. So it was lovely interaction. It was lovely pleasure having you over here on auspicious day of 75th Independence Day, right? So thank you, Professor. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind and happy Independence Day to all of you in Startup Story, and share my regards and best wishes to all your colleagues and members of your team. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.